Hi, you're with Laurie from Studio X, and I'm going to show you all how to synthesize your own fat snare drum for either dubstep or D&B or basically whatever you want to use it for. But this is how you go about doing it without using samples, because online today, and ever since I found the internet, I've found many videos of people using sampled snares in their videos and then claiming to have made something out of it. But synthesizing is not hard to do it from scratch. So first thing we need is just a sine wave and a white noise. So a fair bit of white noise, and we'll dump that down on our step sequencer as well. Okay, now we need a pitch envelope. So we need to go into the pitch section here and pull down 1 octave, not 2 octaves, because that's good for our kick drums, isn't it? But for synthesizing snares, we want just 1 octave. Okay, so 12 semitones. We've shot this down now, so it's sounding like this. Now we need the envelope, the volume envelope. So we pull the attack and decay and sustain and release back, so it's nice and short. So it's okay, that's exactly what I want. So that one now can go straight. I'll turn up the volume on it a bit and send it to its own effects channel. Now we're going to make a clap section to layer with it. So this one here is just going to be white noise. And we'll solo it while we work on the clap as well. Okay, so for a clap, all we need is a nice little volume envelope here, which will very similar to the one we just did on the snare, but maybe a bit of release on it too. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to send that to its own effects channel as well. And that way we've got an independent clap and snare channel, which can both end up in the same channel when they get saturated. But just for the purpose of adding reverbs and stuff to our clap, we're going to have individual channels, because it doesn't sound all that nice when you reverb a snare on its own. Like what Skrillex and all the rest of them do is usually just get a clap or a cymbal and layer it with their snare to make it sound like it's dragging on longer than it is, but not necessarily reverberating the actual snare drum. So that's what we're going to replicate here. So we'll go into our clap and we're going to pull it out of time just slightly, because that's how you get a nice realistic sounding clap as well. So now what we're going to do is, even just for the sake of it, get a bandpass filter on the clap, because we want it to sound a little bit more like a clap than just white noise. Here we go. Okay, now we need a nice envelope for the clap. So it's got a compressor for the clap. So we'll go into our effects over here and load up a free compressor, which I've got a nice one here actually. We'll use this single channel nice compressor to pull up the punchiness. Okay, that's sounding pretty punchy. So together they should be sounding quite nice, I guess, individually. Okay, so we've got a nice level between the two. Yep, that's sounding pretty sweet. So now what I usually do is I send them both to one channel and get a nice saturation plugin, such as Try-Dirt, which is a free one, and I basically hammer the hell out of it. So what we're going to do is grab our Try-Dirt here. Here's Try-Dirt, and crank it up. Okay, now we're starting to get the nice punchy kind of sound that I wanted. But if we want it to really be super punchy, we can have more gain and less level. Slightly a bit harder than I'd usually have it, more so about here. That's nice. But the good thing too is when you synthesize your own fat, awesome snare drum, is you can move it around in any key and it still sounds awesome. You don't have to find the pitch of the tonal center which is the key of your song, to match it, like, you know, dubstep and D&B people often do. With your own synth one, you can make it fit wherever. Now, if in this case, if we wanted it to be like a big fat dubstep snare, all we need to do literally is basically add a reverb to the clap channel. So we'll just get the inbuilt Fruity one, Fruity Reverb 2, that'll do. Fruity Reverb 2. Alright, all we need to do is get a nice white noisy sounding reverb going. See, that's got a nice bit of release. We'll just turn up the wet level. That shape is a bit off. I might go for a bit of a triangle or a square shape actually. Yeah, that sounds more unique. We just need the level down a bit. And maybe a bit of EQ on this clap. Maybe slightly more compression as well. And then maybe push up the bottom end on the snare that we've made, the first one. And that's basically the fat 909 reverb clap snare that everyone uses in dubstep these days, and in drum and bass. Like usually a little less reverb in a drum and bass track, but not always. And yeah, that's how you go about doing it on a subtractive synthesizer, without having to steal it off anyone else or basically use anyone else's samples or anything. You can do it yourself without using much CPU and without really trying hard. My CPU's going up a bit more than it usually is because I'm on a fast latency setting, which is probably why my voice has glitched a few times and stuff. But that's how you do it. That's how you make a synth snare drum that sounds awesome. And yeah, I encourage you to have a go. Thanks for listening.